What is up, guys? So this is another week in review video where I take the 4 shows of the week, that's Arrow, Flash, Supergirl, and Legends of Tomorrow, and I rank them with mini reviews. For the full reviews, click in the top right corner of the video, but let's get started with the Arrowverse week in review, week 7. At 4th place, we have Legends of Tomorrow with Welcome to the Jungle. This episode was pretty disappointing. We were promised a super advanced Grodd a while ago, but it turns out he still talks to himself, or he talks about himself in the third person, saying things like, "What do you have to offer to Grodd?" instead of "What do you have to offer to me?" He still talks to himself in the third person, so he's not really that much smarter than the last time we saw him. And also, the last time we saw him, his plan was just so much bigger. The scale of his plan was so much bigger. Last time we saw him on the Flash, he was taking a whole guerrilla army, invading Central City, and this time around, he's just gathering a village of Vietnam soldiers and ruling them. It's not really a step up from the last time we saw him. And also, on top of that, Grodd looked a little bit smaller than he usually did. Or maybe that's just me, but he felt like he was smaller than he usually was, which makes him a lot less menacing, and he looks a lot less powerful. So Grodd was disappointing, but I'm really glad he joined Mullis' team. I predicted that, so that makes it even better. And Heatwave's moments with his father were pretty good scenes. Not great or anything. Like, they were fine. They weren't fine. They were pretty good. But they did give some much needed character development to Heatwave. He's been exactly the same since season 1. So this episode wasn't that bad. It was just nothing special, which puts it at 4th place. At 3rd place is Arrow with Thanksgiving. Oliver Queen being arrested for being a vigilante, this is the 4th time by the way, has officially gotten old. It's happened way too many times. It's definitely gotten old. It wasn't that bad in this episode, but it's just unoriginal and overdone. Just stop, alright? The good thing about this episode is that Diggle as a Green Arrow, that whole storyline is finally over. It has finally come to an end. Oliver is back as the Green Arrow, and it's awesome. Oliver didn't get any fight scenes, which was a little disappointing, but just seeing Oliver in the Green Arrow suit again makes the show feel like itself again. That was totally missing from episode 3, 4, 5, 6, and also most of 7. It didn't feel like Arrow. Oliver Queen wasn't the Green Arrow or the main character. He basically was not the main character of the show, so it just felt like a completely different show. It was just really boring. So seeing him back in the Green Arrow suit it's so refreshing. And this episode had some great moments where Oliver and Diggle argue, where Oliver says everything I've ever said about Diggle except for him being boring, about the fact that he's the Green Arrow. But like 2 minutes after that argument, they both apologized to each other, which didn't make any sense because Oliver doesn't really have anything to apologize to Diggle for. And then Oliver still thinks Diggle should be the Green Arrow if he ever recovers, which just doesn't make any sense. Caden James was a pretty good villain in this episode. We find out why he's doing what he's doing, which might be a little bit too similar to Prometheus with the whole thing that you killed my blank, and now I'm gonna kill you. I'm gonna take revenge on you for that. For Prometheus, it was his father. Now for Caden James, it's his son. He didn't say kill, he said take away, so it could be anything. But it's still a little bit too similar to Prometheus. But either way, it still made me a lot more interested in the Caden James character because I really wasn't up until now. 2nd place goes to Supergirl with Wake Up. Wake Up started the storyline I was most excited for this season with the Legion of Superheroes, and it started it pretty well. They did it in a way that meshed well with the main story of the season without putting the main story, which is Rain, aside. Like without putting it aside, because Rain was a really big focus of this episode. I'll get to that later. Mon-El returned in this episode a better character compared to his 7-year younger self, where he was just a comedic love interest. Now he's a much better character, and Chris Wood is, for some reason, I don't know why, is just a much better actor. He had some really great moments. This episode had a lot of good acting in it, especially from Chris Wood, who plays Mon-El, and Odette Annabelle, who plays Rain, and also Melissa Benoist to a lesser extent. And speaking of Rain, Sam becomes Rain in this episode, which I didn't expect to happen so early in the season. I expected it to happen in episode 9 because that's the mid-season finale. So it was a pretty cool scene. I just think I would have preferred her to become Rain through character development instead of just boom, snap your Rain. It would have been so much better. I didn't dislike the way she turned into Rain. I just think it could have been better if it was through character development. But either way, this episode was really good. And first place goes to The Flash with Therefore I Am. This episode was almost perfect. If there was a little bit more humor, and if Barry suited up at least once, it would have been perfect. Like I just said, the humor was lacking in this episode. I think there was one humorous moment that I can remember. So this episode, just like I keep on saying, lacked humor, which wouldn't be a problem, and it isn't a problem because it's just one episode. But if it continues like this, that every single Devo episode has no humor in it, then that might be a problem. That might become a problem. But Therefore I Am does a great job at setting up the Thinker as a great sympathetic villain, like really, really sympathetic. And it really shows that the Flash writers know what they are doing with the first non-speedster villain, which I doubted. I doubted they knew what they were doing from the get-go. I mean, the only reason I had to doubt it is because they never done it before, but it looks like they definitely know what they're doing. This episode had some great acting from Grant Gustin and Neil Sandilands, who plays DeVoe, especially during their scenes together. They really had chemistry, and not in any sexual way, obviously, but like a rivalry kind of way. The same way that Oliver and Adrian had in Season 5. I know I'm going this off of like 4 scenes in this one episode, but it was that good. Also, the fact that we know everything that we ever had to know about the Thinker except for his endgame in just 7 episodes is just like, we know his identity, we know his backstory, we know his powers, we know his motives. All we don't know is his endgame, which is so awesome when you compare it to Season 3. In conclusion, this week was actually really good. Legends, I'd say, was okay. Arrow was pretty good. The Flash and Supergirl, though, were really great. Supergirl having their second best episode of the season so far, in my opinion, and The Flash having their best episode. Averaging out the scores of the week, we get a 8.95 out of 10. I could round that up to 9 out of 10 or to 8.9 out of 10. I just choose to do 9 out of 10 just because I want to. So the score for this week is 9 out of 10. So let me know which episode was your favorite in the comments down below, and vote in the top right corner of the video. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Thanks for watching.